Welcome to another video from 55 Degrees North, where we explore the history, heritage and the hidden gems of the North East. Today we're diving into the side of Newcastle many people walk past every day without noticing. Its ancient heart. Beneath the busy streets, a buzzing nightlife lies, nearly 1,000 years of stories carved into stone. In this episode, we're taking you on a journey through the 5 oldest buildings still standing in Newcastle city centre, all open to the public and each with a tale to tell. Let's step back in time and uncover the foundations of this incredible city. At number 5, we begin our journey with one of Newcastle's most iconic landmarks, the Cathedral Church of St Nicholas. Originally founded in 1091, just a few years after the Norman conquest of England, it was built as a parish church to serve the growing population around the castle. But it didn't always look as it does today. After a devastating fire in 1216, the original Norman structure was mostly destroyed, and what rose in its place over the following century was a magnificent Gothic-style church completed in the mid-1300s. What really makes St Nicholas stand out, quite literally, is the incredible lantern spire, added in 1448. Shaped like a crown and rising nearly 200 feet above street level, it was used for centuries as a navigation beacon for ships entering the River Tyne. Long before there were street lights or lighthouses, sailors would steer towards that glowing lantern to find safe passage to Newcastle's quays. Inside the cathedral, it's full of hidden treasure. You'll find elaborately carved tombs of medieval merchants and knights, war memorials and some of the finest examples of Gothic architecture in the North East. Despite its age, the cathedral isn't a museum. It's still very much alive. Services, concerts, art exhibitions and community gatherings are held here throughout the year. It's a space where ancient history and modern life meet in the most awe-inspiring way. And since 1882, the church has been elevated to cathedral status, making it the seat of the Bishop of Newcastle. If you want to stand in a place that's seen nearly 1,000 years of Newcastle's story, this is the perfect place to start. Coming in at number 4 on our journey through Newcastle's ancient heart is the Black Gate, a structure that stands like a watchful sentinel just beside the castle keep. Built in 1247 during the reign of King Henry III, this was no ordinary gatehouse. It was the fine line of defence for Newcastle's formidable castle complex. Back in the 13th century, Newcastle was a walled fortress town, and the castle, strategically placed between the River Tyne and the Roman road heading north, was its stronghold. The Black Gate served as the main entrance, protected by a portcullis, guard rooms and murder holes, ready to trap and attack any intruder who dared to breach the outer defences. But time changed the Black Gate's role. As the need for military defences faded, it was repurposed, first into a residential townhouse in the 17th century, then later converted into tenement housing. At one point, multiple families lived within its thick stone walls in cramped conditions. From fortress to family home, the transformation is remarkable. In the 1800s, the gatehouse fell into disrepair, but thanks to local historians and preservation efforts, it was saved from demolition. Today, it serves as the official entrance to Newcastle Castle, and it's home to a small museum that tells the story of the city's development from Roman settlement to Norman fortress to industrial powerhouse. Step inside and you'll find interactive exhibits, medieval artifacts and reconstructions of what the castle once looked like. It's more than just a doorway, it's a gateway into the city's medieval past, and while the surrounding area has changed beyond recognition, the Black Gate still stands, silently watching over the comings and goings of Newcastle's life, just as it has for over 775 years. Standing proudly at number 3 is the beating heart of the city's origins, the Castle Keep, built between 1172 and 1177 under the reign of King Henry II. The fortress isn't just one of the oldest buildings in Newcastle, it's the one that gave the city its name. Before the Castle Keep, there was a wooden Motte Bailey fort built by the Normans in 1080 under Robert Curthose, the son of William the Conqueror. The new castle was erected on the site of a former Roman fort, chosen for its position high above the River Tyne. Controlling the crossing between northern England and Scotland, it was a symbol of Norman power and a warning to anyone who dared resist. Less than a century later, the wooden fort was replaced by a towering stone structure we see today, a massive Norman keep, built for defence, authority and control. Its walls are up to 13 feet thick, made from rough, dark sandstone. You'll notice it's more functional than decorative. It was not a place but a stronghold, and it worked. Throughout the medieval period, the keep served many roles. It was a military base, an administrative hub and eventually a prison. Over the centuries, rebels, thieves and traitors were locked away in its dark dungeons. You can still visit the jail cells and can imagine the cold silence broken only by the echo of chains. Inside the keep, you'll find a chapel, a great hall and spiral staircases to wind tightly between the levels. Each step creaks with history. At the top, the roof platform offers one of the best views in the city, from the cathedral to the Tyne Bridge, from the ancient city walls to the glass towers of modern Newcastle. This is more than a castle, it's a foundation of the city itself. Where people talk about Newcastle, they are quite literally referring to this building. The keep is where it all began. Today, it's open to the public as part of Newcastle's visitor experience, which also includes the Black Gate just down the path. These are exhibits of medieval life, local legends and the city's turbulent past, plus reenactments, tours and educational effects year round. Visiting the Castle Keep isn't just about looking at old stone, it's about climbing into the very centre of Newcastle's story and feeling it come alive around you. Number 2 on our list is a true hidden treasure in Newcastle city centre, St John the Baptist Church, founded around 1130 AD. Tucked between Granger Street and Westgate Road, just a few minutes walk from Newcastle Central Station, it's easy to pass this church by without realising that you're looking at one of the oldest surviving places of worship in the entire city. Originally built during the Norman period, St John's was constructed using local sandstone. Some of it is likely taken from the nearby remains of Hadrian's Wall, a common practice in medieval Newcastle. And while many parts of the church have been repaired or rebuilt over the centuries, you can still see fragments of the original 12th century architecture. Most notably, inside the chancel, there's a beautifully preserved Norman arch, a rare and precious link to the early medieval period. By the 13th century, the tower was added, giving the church a more defensive look, and the structure we see today took shape through the 14th and 15th centuries. What sets St John's apart isn't just age, it's the atmosphere. The moment you step inside, the noise of the city fades. There's a deep, almost sacred stillness in the air, carried on the flicker of candlelight and the echo of centuries of prayer. This wasn't just a parish church. For a time it served as a chapel of ease to St Nicholas's, helping to meet the spiritual needs of Newcastle's growing population, and it's been at the heart of the community ever since. Despite being nearly 900 years old, St John's is still active, a living, breathing church that hosts weekly services, organ recitals and community events. It's rare and it's a peaceful retreat surrounded by modern life, yet untouched by time. So next time you walk through the busy city centre, take a small detour and step in to one of the quietest and oldest corners of Newcastle's past. And here we are at number 1, the oldest building still standing in Newcastle city centre, quietly tucked behind the modern bustle of Newgate Street, lies St Andrew's Church, a structure that's been rooted in this spot since the early 1100s. This is a building that predates the Magna Carta. It stood when England was ruled by Norman kings, and it has seen everything from medieval sieges and Reformation upheavals to Victorian expansion and the Second World War. Through it all, St Andrews has endured. The church was likely founded around 1110, shortly after the Normans established their hold on the northeast. At the time, it would have stood outside the original town walls, a rural chapel in what was then open countryside. But as Newcastle expanded, St Andrews became part of the city's spiritual fabric. Much of the stone used to construct it came from a remarkable source, Hadrian's Wall. In fact, some of the rough sandstone blocks in the church's tower are thought to be Roman in origin, giving this modest building a link to one of the greatest empires in history. Though smaller than the cathedral or castle keep, there's something especially powerful about St Andrews. It's not grand, it's not flashy, but it's been in constant use for over 900 years. Outside, the graveyard holds some of the oldest stones in the city. Names have faded, but stories remain. Merchants, clergy, soldiers and unknown Newcastle citizens buried over the course of nearly a millennium. The churchyard is a peaceful green oasis surrounded by a modern city, where old trees lean over crooked gravestones and ivy creeps up the wall. Today, the church continues to host regular services and community events. It's a living place of worship, not a museum. The fact that it's still active, still loved, still part of the community, it's what makes it so special. So when you visit St Andrews, you're not just seeing the oldest building in Newcastle, you're stepping into the oldest surviving piece of its soul, and for that reason alone, it deserves its place at the top of this list. These 5 buildings have seen the rise and fall of empires, survived bombings, plagues, reformations and revolutions, and yet they still stand whispering stories from the stones beneath our feet. They aren't tucked away behind glass, they're right here in Newcastle, waiting for you to explore them. Got your favourite historic building? Drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you would visit first. If you have enjoyed your journey through time, hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow, and let us bring you more stories from the northeast and beyond. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss a future video. A massive thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time on 55 Degrees North.